We got rain, we got snow, we've got winter mischief. Ho, ho, ho. Let's get into it in this Wednesday morning edition of the Texas Weather Roundup. Good morning, I'm Texas Storm Chasers Baldy-in-Chief David Reimer. It is Wednesday morning, the 8th of January, 2025. I'll give you one guess as to why I'm named Baldy-in-Chief, but it might have something to do with the fact my head is shinier than your car after you washed it today in anticipation of rain. Let's just get on into it here. We did 3 of these yesterday. We'll probably be doing 3 of these today. This is going to be the high-res rapid refresh model. We're now in range of the high-res models, which will give us a better sense of the timing. Also give us a better sense of if we're going to see any sort of localized bands of heavier snow. Now, this video animation is going to play a lot over the next few minutes while I just talk my little pretty head off, so don't worry if you missed the animation the first time. Hopefully you'll be able to see it, and it'll give you a sense of the timing, but I'll do my best to audibly describe it as well. We're expecting, well, we've already had a little bit of snow overnight in the Panhandle, West Texas. We had a few light snow bands set up, drop maybe a dusting to a ½ inch of snow in parts of those regions. We do note where it did snow, it made roads slicker than bull snot, but that overall was more of an exception than the rule. As we go through the afternoon into this evening, we are expecting bands of winter precipitation in the form of snow, maybe sleet, to develop across the borderland of far west Texas around El Paso, bringing y'all a ½ inch to an inch of snow. As we go through late tonight, early tomorrow morning, we'll see those bands move into the Guadalupe Mounds, the Trans-Pecos, the Big Bend, and the Davis Mounds, with the potential for 1 to 3 inches of snow there. As we go into the same time frame late this evening, early tomorrow morning, we may also start seeing small bands of snow and sleet develop in the Permian Basin, West Texas. That will be the onset of what is going to be a very wet Thursday into Friday morning across the eastern 75% of Texas. As we get into Thursday morning, we're expecting the development of widespread precipitation across portions of the Edwards Plateau, Concho Valley, Big Country, Northwest Texas, Central Texas, North Texas, the Hill Country, South Texas, the Rio Grande Valley, the Coastal Bend, the Coastal Plains, Southeast Texas, the Brazos Valley, and then Thursday afternoon through Friday morning, the eastern half of Texas is going to be quite wet. Now, what does that mean for snow? Well, we have not seen significant changes in the overnight weather model data, thankfully, compared to our updated about 10 p.m. last evening. What we are seeing is the continued expectation of the onset of precipitation in the Concho Valley, the Permian Basin, parts of the Big Country, North Texas, to be in the form of rain, sleet, snow mix. Precipitation chances in terms of ice, not looking particularly impressive. Central Texas, most of the Hill Country, most of the Brazos Valley, and East Texas, which is good news. It's looking like rain. As we go into tomorrow, surface temperatures are going to be a problem. We're going to be dealing with a 1 to 2 degree temperature difference between just pure rain and spaghetti-o problems in terms of travel across the Big Country, North Texas, Texoma, Northwest Texas, Northeast Texas. As we get into tomorrow afternoon, most weather model data suggests places like Abilene, DFW, Wichita Falls, Sherman, up into Northeast Texas, will be about 33 to 34 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, with very cold temperatures aloft, that's still going to support a wet snow mixing in with rain or just changing over to snow along and north of Interstate 20 tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening. As we get into tomorrow night, and our area of low pressure on the Texas Gulf Coast begins to move towards the Louisiana coast, we're going to see winds at the surface and the low levels become northwesterly. That is going to allow the rain-snow line to begin moving southeast, bringing maybe a change over to snow, Big Country, maybe even parts of the northern Hill Country, maybe parts of the remainder of North Texas at least, into parts of East Texas. It's Friday morning. Now, what does that mean for accumulations? Well, if we're at 33, 34 degrees Fahrenheit, obviously that's not super duper conducive for accumulations. But we're going to likely see bands of heavier wet snow overwhelm the melting process at times tomorrow, and especially tomorrow night, which will allow for accumulations, nevertheless. And then as we get into tomorrow night and Friday morning, colder air starts coming in. That may also allow for more accumulations, especially across portions of North Texas, Texoma, and Northeast Texas. So it's going to be one of these cases where surface temperatures in, DFW, Abilene, Sherman, Gainesville, Texarkana, maybe 33, 34, maybe 32. But, if we have heavy, wet snow, big snowflakes falling, that's not going to matter because it's just going to fall heavy enough to stick essentially anyway until it can melt. And then tomorrow night into Friday morning, we'll see temperatures probably cool, maybe a degree. And then cooler air filters in, we'll change over to snow. So that will result in some travel issues, a lot of slush. And, Texans, we just don't drive well in the rain anyway. Add in wet snow and slush, it's just going to be a headache. Places like DFW, Northeast Texas. Highest issue for more significant travel issues, probably Texoma, Eastern Texoma into Northeast Texas tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night, Friday morning. Though, if we start off Thursday morning with a quick burst of heavier sleet and snow, that may also be a problem. That being said, the temperatures are going to matter here. If we warm up another degree or two, that rain-snow line is going to make it to the Red River. However, if we're a degree or two colder, things could be drastically different, and we may have a more significant issue with accumulations and snow. You could see this model is also bringing a band of snow through the Panhandle, West Texas, parts of the Permian Basin, Northwest Texas, Thursday night into Friday morning. That's going to be the wraparound moisture that we weren't so confident about yesterday morning, yesterday afternoon, but we seem to be locking onto a solution that does favor that. So we'll keep that in the forecast. And, Panhandle, West Texas, it's probably going to be near or a bit below freezing, so we do expect travel issues. In fact, you could see almost some snow squall-like behavior Friday morning out there in the Permian Basin being indicated by the radar. That would actually be snow squalls, which would be interesting. We don't see that too often down here in Texas. In terms of rain, well, southeastern half of the state, most of East Texas, the Brazos Valley, Central Texas, Edwards Plateau, South Texas, Coastal Bend, Coastal Plains, Rio Grande Valley, Deep South Texas, Rio Grande Plains, Southeast Texas, said that already, Golden Triangle. Y'all are going to be above freezing. I mean, it's not going to be a nice day out, but you're going to be above freezing. We're not expecting, ice, snow issues, accumulations. We're going to see a good amount of rain, though. This is going to be a real doozy of a rainmaker for January, which could be good, could be bad. We'll see. We may have a few localized flooding issues. At this point, does not look like we're going to have to deal with severe weather. You could see most of the instability will remain offshore. Pretty gnarly little line of thunderstorms is going to fire up in the Gulf of Mexico. Thankfully, we shouldn't have to deal with that, but we'll keep an eye on it nevertheless. Everything should be moving out Friday morning. At this point, I think we're going to be done by noon Friday. This model indicates we may be done closer to, 6 to 8 a.m. Friday, which would be nice since I have an 11 a.m. flight. So let's take a look at forecast accumulations. We're going to start off with snow, western portions of Texas. Now, this is relatively broad-stroked and regionalized. There will be localized maximas and minimums. And, as we get into later today, maybe I'll start to actually show you those based off the raw model data, but I really don't like showing model snow totals. It's just not good practice, in my opinion, because models rarely get it right. Models typically are using a set rain to snow liquid ratio. But I'll probably do it later today and have to throw in caveats and all that. But here's the snow forecast. Again, we're generally looking at a minor winter weather event across western portions of Texas. El Paso, half inch to an inch of snow, maybe a little more. Higher terrain east of El Paso, Davis, Guadalupe Mountains, maybe 1 to 3 inches of snow. Trans-Pecos, same thing. I-10's not going to be pretty between it. Well, for all intent and purposes, Las Cruces, New Mexico, and probably the I-20, I-10 split. You can see we're expecting maybe an additional half inch to inch of snow across parts of the Panhandle, West Texas, Northern Permian Basin, Northwest Texas. Now, if we end up with that heavier wraparound band like the model I just showed you indicates, we may have to bump these up in the future forecast updates later this afternoon. Same thing for Northwest Texas, the big country, relatively minor winter weather event at this point. inch of snow. Now, let's pop over to eastern portions of the state. Here's where things start to get a little heavier. You can see we're still expecting a band of heavier snow accumulations to develop across portions of Texoma, northern Texas, along the north of I-20, and northeast Texas. Now, if the HRRR model is right, we're going to have to bring some of these heavier snow totals back into parts of northeast Texas. DFW, I think you're looking pretty good right now, honestly. 1 to 2 to 2 to 4 inches of snow seems like a decent range right now. Northern DFW up towards Gainesville, Sherman to Paris to Texarkana. 2 to 4 to 2 to 6 right now is a good bet. We may have to bump that up a bit. Now, we're going to have a lot of snow falling tomorrow. There's no doubt about that. If we were 28 degrees, we'd have a foot of snow. Easy. But because temperatures are going to be a degree or two above freezing, we're going to be dealing with a fairly wet snow, which is going to lower the liquid to snow ratio. A lot of that snow is going to melt as it falls. So what we see accumulation-wise isn't necessarily going to correlate to what models think we're going to have fall. Some model data may show a foot of snow, but in reality, over half of that's going to melt almost instantly. So that's why this is what we're sticking with for now. Will we have to bump it up? Maybe. If temperatures cool off at all? Oh, mamma mia. Yeah. But this is the general expectation. You can see why we're expecting some travel difficulties tomorrow night, Friday morning. Texoma, North Texas, Northeast Texas. Not much really south of I-20 in terms of East Texas. Now, south of I-20 and North Texas, yeah. Places like Cleburne to Hillsboro to Waxahachie, Midlothian, maybe even Corsicana, we're probably going to see some snow. You could see Concho Valley, Big Country. We may see even a bit of snow down towards places like Winters, Brownwood, Hamilton. If the HRRR model's right, we may actually switch over to a wet snow for the final few hours of the event, but with surface temperatures, generally just above freezing, that would really limit snow totals. We'll watch it. Again, I've said this so many times over the last few days, forecasting winter weather inside of 24 hours is difficult enough in Texas. Usually outside of 24 hours, we just expect drastic changes. We're still talking about an event 24 to 48 hours out. There will be surprises. The main upper-level storm system with this is over Mexico, where we don't have a lot of upper air observations, weather balloons. So weather models are kind of guessing what the system is doing right now. When that system starts getting back towards the United States and we actually start getting some data up into the system in real time, that data will be analyzed, ingested by weather models, and we'll be able to see exactly what the system is doing. But sometimes that can lead to some interesting surprises. Whether or not that's going to be good for snow lovers, we're just going to have to wait and see. But, it really is what it is. It's not us trying to be vague or, mislead anyone or whatever. It's just forecasting down here in Texas has its challenges. And there are a few of them. All right, here's forecast ice totals. Now, because surface temperatures excluding tomorrow morning are going to be mostly near or above freezing, we shouldn't have to deal with too much in the way of ice accumulations. But if we're a degree or two colder, like I said, if we're sitting at, 31 versus 33, this could change a bit. At this point, light ice accumulations seem possible in parts of the Permian Basin, the Big Country, southern North Texas, into portions of northeast Texas. And again, they would be light. We're not talking about an ice storm here, but, if we have some of those convective sleet showers tomorrow morning or freezing rain, yeah, we could pick up a little bit of ice pretty quick before temperatures rise to near or just above freezing tomorrow afternoon. So we'll watch for it. And again, if temperatures are a degree or two colder, well, this could be more impactful in terms of winter accumulation. So that is the expectation in the winter weather department right now. As we take a look on the warm side of the system, or what everything's going to look like after the snow melts, here's the liquid equivalent, or how much it's going to rain over the next 3 days. You can see we're actually looking at a good rain event, a good precipitation event most of the state. A tenth to a quarter inch of liquid equivalent rain. The Big Bend, the Trans-Pecos, the Big Bend, I said that already, the Davis Mounds, the Guadalupe Mounds, the Borderland, far west Texas. That's not bad. Not bad at all for winter. We're looking at a quarter inch to an inch of liquid equivalent rain east of a line from Wichita Falls, Abilene, San Angelo, down to Del Rio. down into the Rio Grande Valley, deep South Texas. Then, parts of the Hill Country, Central Texas, the Brazos Valley, Northeast Texas, East Texas, Southeast Texas, the Coastal Plains, the Golden Triangle. We're looking at, generally speaking, 1 to 4 inches of rain possible. So that's really quite impressive for January, and you know what? That'll make the drought monitor a little happier next week, hopefully. So all this will mainly be a late tonight, Thursday through Friday morning event, and then it's going to move out. All right, so for the longer range forecast, what we're looking at is a mostly dry weather pattern after Friday morning. We may see a quick round of snow showers Saturday evening into Sunday morning in northern portions of the Texas Panhandle. Otherwise, our next rainmaker for portions of the Rio Grande Valley, Texas Gulf Coast, looks to be Tuesday and Wednesday, perhaps, as a storm system gears up in the Gulf. But for most of Texas, that'll be a non-event. High temperatures today, pretty cool across the state. We're generally looking at 30s to 40s, so very January-like for sure. Tomorrow, you could see high temperatures only in the mid-30s. North Texas, Texoma, Northeast Texas, West Texas, the Panhandle with 40s for the rest of the state, except the immediate Texas Gulf Coast, where you can see a little warmer air trying to filter in. Whoa. And that could allow temperatures to get to near 60. So, now, here's Friday's high temperature forecast. Where we have a snowpack in northeast Texas, parts of Texoma, temperatures may be cooler. It's still going to be in the 30s and 40s in northern two-thirds of the state. 50s back for the southern third of Texas. But on the backside of the departing storm system Friday, we're going to have colder air come in. And so some of these high temperatures may be in the morning, with dropping temperatures in the afternoon. Here is Saturday morning's low temperature forecast. Now, this is going to be important for a few reasons, besides the fact most of the state's going to have another freeze. Pretty hard freeze for the northern, 75% of the state, with temperatures down to the teens and 20s. Whatever water we have left on roads, sidewalks, etc., melted snow, whatever, is going to turn into ice Friday evening into Saturday morning. So keep that in mind. Any roads that aren't dry by after sunset, in some cases before sunset Friday, but, Friday evening, Friday night, Saturday morning, whatever's not dry is going to ice up. So keep that in mind. The only place is not seeing a freeze, Rio Grande Valley. Sorry, the camera was blocking the Rio Grande Valley, with temperatures in the 40s. Everyone else, it looks like we're going to be below freezing Friday night. So plan accordingly for that. And be mindful that there's probably going to be icy spots. Temperatures on Saturday, you can definitely see the influence of where we expect a snowpack up in parts of North Texas, Northeast Texas. Temperatures struggling to get out of the 30s. Everyone else is going to be in the upper 40s to 50s, even some 60s down in South Texas. And that trend, as we start getting rid of the snowpack on Sunday, will continue. Another freeze Sunday morning for the northern half, northern two-thirds of the state, but not as cold as Friday night. And then here's Sunday's high temperature forecast. You can actually see back into the mid-60s, southeastern third to half of Texas. Northwestern half of the state, I'm afraid, guess what? Cooler air sticks around with high temperatures only in the 40s to low 50s, and enjoy this little warm batch, South Texas, because it's going to cool off again as we get into Monday. Not looking like a particularly warm weather pattern setting up, but that is not to imply we're dealing with any Arctic issues over the next 5 days outside of this winter stuff we've got going on, because we're not. It's just going to stay cool.